Welcome to Mind Over Muscle, the podcast that explores how real strength comes from both your body and your mind. I'm your host, Michael Carbo, and I created this podcast for anyone who wants to live healthier, stay consistent, and build confidence through fitness. Every episode dives into topics like motivation, discipline, gym anxiety, and realistic goal setting, and the mindset behind staying committed. You hear practical advice, personal stories, and interviews from fitness people and people who just push through their own challenges. And the goal is very simple. It's to make fitness feel supportive, real, and achievable, where there's no pressure and no judgment. And this podcast is especially for young adults and students trying to balance life while improving their mental and physical health. And if you need any extra tips or related blog posts, you can head over to my website at michaelcarbo3.wordpress.com. So let's get into it. And today I have a very special guest, Tyler. And I have a guest on here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Tyler, and I've been working out for like 5 years, and I'm really pleased to be on your podcast. I'm ready to answer all your questions.
Yeah, sounds good. Excited. Do you mind just sharing like a little bit of a background in your fitness career or your wellness journey as well?
Yeah, so when I was little, around 5 years of age, I started playing soccer, and ever since then, I've always really been like fitness minded. Going into high school, we'd hit the weight room, things like that. That's what really got me into the gym. And then overall, growing up, progressing through college, I've been to working out, making strict diet, also keeping myself physically engaged throughout college itself in general, just with my friends, maybe going on runs, things like that. And all together, put together, I have like a nice fit schedule, which I like to compile and work throughout my week. And we can go deeper into that later in the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so real quick, so you said that you played soccer growing up, and would you say that was like the main thing, I guess, like, are you interested in physical fitness and like mental health?
Yeah, so soccer is a big component of that. Obviously, while growing up, I was watching a lot of my idols play, like Ronaldo and Messi, and their strict regimen of working out, as well as other football influencers on YouTube and TikTok also really influenced me to work out. And overall, just having a better fitness journey really excels you in sports and life overall as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I had a similar thing. Like, I played sports growing up. I'd say that's what got me into the gym as well. So it's cool. And I guess my next question is, I struggle with this too, but or I guess not struggle with it, but did you always enjoy working out, or was it something that you learned to love, like an acquired taste almost?
Yeah, I mean, at first, always there's like a high risk, high reward thing where sometimes I would like to work out, sometimes I wouldn't, specifically leg days and things like that.
Yeah.
But with soccer comes a lot of cardio and working out with your legs too. So I would have to work around things with my friends. We'd motivate each other and things like that. So over the years, it was like a built progress.
Yeah, I mean, I'd honestly agree. Working out by itself like isn't the best thing, but there's a lot of other things. Like, again, you said working out with your friends, that definitely makes the whole process, the whole journey, like a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have like a role model or somebody who heavily influenced you? I guess to influence you to put in the work and really strive to do better on your journey?
Yeah, so when I was little, I used to grow up watching videos of like David Lade, Chris Bumstead, all their fitness videos on YouTube, and how they became Gymshark influencers and things like that. That really got me into buying Gymshark, their apparel, and working out to look better like them as well. So I guess watching their YouTube videos and their content really was what sparked my interest.
Mm-hmm. And so I'd say one of the biggest, I guess, one of the biggest things is mindset. Is there staying consistent in the gym? Because you could work out like super intense, like one day a week, but then again, you're really not making any progress. Like, staying consistent is the key. So what role do you believe that mindset plays into staying consistent?
Yeah, so have the mentality of being able to work out on a day-to-day basis and having that ideology of like constant improvement is something that's really important while working out. Like you mentioned, working out one day whereas working out like 5 days in a week, seeing constant growth is much more important rather than just giving your all one day and then being lazy and going off track for the other days. So yeah, definitely staying consistent is like one of the big things while working out. And personally, creating a split is what helped me as well. And maybe we can talk about like what your split is, what my split is, how they contradict and things like that. And yeah, so that's my answer to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what is your split, I guess? Like, what works best for you?
Yeah, so while on season, we like to do a little active rest day on Sundays where we start the split. So it'd be like a little 5-mile run and sprints and things like that. And then from Monday to Wednesday, it'd be push-pull legs. And then after that, we'd go back into active cardio day. And then on off days, we'd probably go for a swim or maybe a bike just to recover our legs but keep them active as well. and then we just repeat after that. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do any sports or anything like that, so I do have a lot of time, a lot of more free time, I guess. So I just do push pull legs. I try to go to the gym like 5 or 6 days a week. So nothing crazy like you. Seem like you're very busy with that. And I guess my next question is like, with your other obligations, like you're not going to be like energized all the time. So on the days where you're not, when you just don't feel like going to the gym or putting in the work, like what keeps you disciplined?
Yeah, well, I love watching sports as well. I don't know if I mentioned that prior, not just soccer, but other things that I watch on the TV and things like that. And when I watch other people play sports or perform at the best of their ability, it really kind of gives me that FOMO feeling. And it's just like if I'm being lazy, I just don't see a point in my day. Like I just feel like I'm not accomplished enough if I don't go to the gym or if I don't work out or just better myself in any way. Maybe just dieting or maybe just like having like nutritious food that day, vitamins, etc. So just realistically, that feeling of FOMO and not constantly improving is what drives me day to day. So
Okay. Yeah, so that's like what personally works for you. But do you have any advice for, and anybody listening to the podcast or just in general for the youth, like people, who are having like a bad day who don't feel like, getting up and putting in the work? Do you have any advice for them to stay consistent?
yeah, I mean, every day that you don't go to the gym is one day you're behind somebody who goes every day. So realistically, you're gonna fall behind on those competitors that you're trying to beat, those like other athletes you're trying to beat, things like that. And every step in the day that you take towards like working on yourself is just a better ROI, return on investment on yourself. So it's the best investment you can make.
Yeah, I really like that. It's a very good perspective.
Yeah.
And I guess so. We're talking about like got your background, your fitness background, your mindset. I'd say let's get into like any challenges that you face. So a lot of people, especially young people, getting into the gym, there's a lot of anxiety that comes with the gym. Because you go into the gym, you see these big guys who've been working for years and stuff, and like you're a beginner. It's like it's an intimidating like environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So did you ever experience that?
Yeah, obviously when I first started, when I was only 14 years of age, even just playing sports or going to the gym for the first time with your friends, you kind of feel a little lost sometimes. You feel like you're embarrassed because you don't know how to work a machine properly, or it's like you feel like you're doing some random things. But what I like to do to conquer that is just like believe that you're just there for yourself, focus, and just believe in yourself. And obviously you can ask other people questions, maybe watch videos prior, understand how to work through a proper workout. Definitely don't hurt yourself, and just be confident overall. Believe in yourself, and you're there for yourself. So yeah.
Okay, so you'd say you overcame it by preparing almost.
Yeah, going through day-to-day basics. Obviously, you can't really master anything without practicing it. So, working through the reps, maybe sometimes picking up weights that you can't lift, you get embarrassed, you go through that process, and then you humble yourself, things like that, and then you get into the split, and then after that, it's smooth sailing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And previously, you mentioned like just to have confidence, like that's very important. I definitely agree. But how do you handle self-doubt? When you can't be confident, like how do you get to that level?
Yeah, that's a big factor. Maybe it's a day that you're trying to PR on a machine or things like that, or maybe it's just that you're not motivated enough to go to the gym itself that day. But what I like to believe is just like if you never try, you never know if you're gonna fail it or not. So it's worth an effort. And obviously, if you can't pick up the weight or you can't hit that PR, you still have another week. You have another month. You just keep going, keep improving, and it's just another goal you have to break. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's not gonna happen one day, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think is the biggest misunderstanding about progress or getting in shape?
The biggest misunderstanding I would probably think is that when you get to your first plateau, you think you've accomplished everything you could have, and then a lot of young people decide that they need to go on maybe supplements or other drugs or steroids and things like that. So I think that what's a misconception is that when you do hit your first plateau, instead of trying to do things out of the ordinary, maybe just try switching up your split or your regimen, maybe your diet, maybe start intaking more protein, your vitamins, change something up prior to just like resulting in just taking, steroids or things like that maybe a lot of people promote online, and stay away from things like that. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into that steroids. So So you said stay away from it. Do you respect people who do use them?
I mean, obviously, I have nothing against people who do. There's a lot of competitors out there who do that as a profession. There's some people do it just out of their own curiosity and joy as well. But definitely as like a youth student myself in college, and other people watching this podcast also in college, I'd probably recommend staying away from things like that, as it's better to just stay healthy and try to work out naturally as much as possible. Unless obviously you're interested in that to have a bodybuilding profession. Nothing against that, obviously, but if that's your mindset, then definitely go for it. But I don't think there's any need for an average person to do so. Anybody watching the podcast to stay away from that. Yeah, 100%.
Do you ever like see yourself, or like maybe there's a different world, like some things change where you did, dabble in like some steroids or PEDs or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I always had that one phase when I was growing up, watching all these bodybuilders, Mr. Olympia, things like that. That maybe like one day I'd probably like take a steroid, maybe look like that. But I don't think so. No, not in my world today.
And how do you think social media has been influencing like the whole overall gym culture? Like there's definitely positives, but there's also definitely negatives. Like influencing the youth.
Yeah, it's a great question. I definitely think social media is a big aspect of this. For example, like all the people that I mentioned prior, like David Blade, C-Bomb, things like that, they've overall brought a lot of positivity to the workout regimen in the world. For example, inspiring me, just like that, they probably inspired many other men. But the flip side of that is obviously, like I mentioned, steroids and things like that are moving a lot more weight, people getting injured because they're trying to like act like them, look like them, things like that. But overall, I think a lot of positivity. They've influenced a lot of people to work out. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we touched on it way in the beginning. Like you're busy, like you're in season playing soccer, and then you go to the gym, on season and in the off season. What works best for you to balance that, with like your personal life, working out, like your fitness and academics?
Yeah, so what I like to do is to balance everything. I like to space out my day. I like to get up early. Maybe work in the morning. I'll do my soccer routine, stretching, running, things like that. And then towards the end of the day, after classes, after eating a lot of food throughout the day, getting my calories in, then I'll probably hit the gym, and then just rinse and repeat from there.
And if you could give one message to someone just starting out, like a beginner, trying to start his fitness journey, what would it be?
Stay locked in. That's probably the one thing I can tell you, because like it's really easy to go off track, like quit, maybe feel sore the first day you're in the gym, and it's like just like you don't want to work out anymore, or maybe you don't see any like progress, anything like that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'd emphasize, we talked about this before, staying consistent is so important, because doing it one time is not going to be enough, and it's just about continuous improvement. You want to be better than you were the previous day.
Yeah,
and that's really the name of the game, I think. And I think that's a safe place to wrap up. So this wraps up the first episode of Mind Over Muscle, and I want to give a huge thank you to our guest today, Tyler, for sharing their insights, stories, and real advice about how to staying strong physically and mentally. I hope you heard something today that gives you an extra push to show up for yourself this week. And I guess my final message is progress isn't about perfection. It's about taking small steps, staying consistent, and trusting the process. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the podcast and share it with someone who might need a little motivation today. And you can find more tips, updates, and weekly challenges on my website, michaelcarbo3.wordpress.com, where we talk about fitness and the journey. And I would also like to give a shout out to a fellow classmate who's doing their podcast, Campus Kickoff, where he also talks about fitness and wellness. And it's a very similar podcast to me. And right now I'm going to include his promo to his podcast, and you can find it there.
Hey everyone, I'm Manav Patel, and you're listening to Campus Kickoff, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of college soccer life at Rutgers and beyond. Each week, I sit down with student athletes to talk about how they balance classes, training, and real life, all while keeping their love for the game alive. From late night study sessions after matches, to stories of teamwork, motivation, and resilience, you'll hear what it truly means to play for passion, not just a scoreboard. So if you're a college student, athlete, or soccer fan looking for honest stories and inspiration, this is your home field. Because every athlete has a story worth hearing, and it might just inspire your own next kickoff. Visit campuskickoffpodcast.com to listen and learn more.